Hey everyone, because this video is a stage light review, the video contains a few clips of flashing lights or patterns that could trigger seizures in individuals with photosensitive epilepsy. There's not a lot of them, just a few of them, but if you have a history of epilepsy, seizures, or a sensitivity to flashing lights, please do not watch this video. Hey, what's up everyone? This is MusicTechHelpGuy, and today we're checking out the Betopper LM0740 moving head stage light. I have been rigorously testing and using this light for the past 3 months, and overall I'm really happy with it. I use this light as a studio light to sort of fill the background with color in my YouTube videos like this, but these can be a great option if you're a DJ, a live performer, or maybe you do events audio and you need some simple lighting, whether it be moving lights for a party or, in my case, a stationary background light. Now, admittedly, I am not an expert with lighting, so I've basically had to teach myself how to use this thing, and honestly, it was pretty straightforward. After 3 months, I have to say the light has been a huge help for making my video lighting look better and more professional, and just kind of creates a really nice mood. And I can choose whatever color I want. You know, if I want blue, if I want red, I want green, yellow, I can do anything I want for my background color. So I'm no longer limited to a particular bulb in my softboxes. Prior to getting this light, that's what I was using. I was using these big softbox lights, and while softboxes are great for illuminating me from the front, they're not really powerful enough to fill the background the way I want, and these Betopper lights are super powerful. Be really careful. Don't look directly into the LEDs. They can blind you. And the other thing with softbox lights is they're really big and clunky, and they're hard to hide in the shot. They're hard to move around. With the Betopper light, it's really small. It has a fairly small form factor. It only weighs 6.1 kilograms, so I can kind of tuck it away anywhere I want. I can hide it behind my desk. I can hide it off to the side, out of the shot. They have a bunch of different positioning and color controls. You can choose any combination of RGB lighting you want. For example, I like to go with a purple background like this. By blending blue and a little red together, you can dim them, you can zoom them, you can pan and tilt them, and you can even use them as a strobe light. And all of these parameters will be saved when you power down the light and then power it back on again. I have a preset that I've made for my backlighting here. I just turn the light on, put it in manual mode, and the color, position, tilt, and pan are all immediately recalled. So my lighting setup is just one step easier than it was before. All I have to do is turn the light on, and with a few button clicks, I'm ready to go. So next, let me give you an overview of the light's features and physical characteristics. The LM0740 has 7 40-watt RGBW LEDs. According to the manual, they have a lifetime of 50,000 hours, and it is possible to check the number of hours on the light from the information menu. Here you can see I have 184 hours on this light. It's only 6.1 kilograms, again, a really small form factor, and they ship with a power cable that has a speak-on connector, and there's even a second power-out speak-on jack that allows you to daisy chain power over to another light. You've got your power switch on and off, a fuse, and then on the left, DMX in and DMX out. If you're not familiar with DMX, this is digital multiplex, and this is a standard protocol used in stage lighting to control light fixtures, fog machines, moving lights, LED effects, and other devices. So this allows you to control all of these different devices using a DMX controller like a lighting console, for example, and you can kind of think of it like MIDI, but for lighting, but it's not MIDI. I do not have a DMX controller, so I won't be able to demonstrate those features, but they do include a single XLR patch cable in the box for connecting your DMX controller. And yes, DMX uses XLR cables to communicate lighting controls. When you power on the unit, it's going to do a motor reset and then automatically boot into its default motion auto run sequence. And I'll just let you see what that looks like with this on my desk in my control room. If you have a DMX controller, you can click here to open the menu, and then you can set your DMX address here from 1 to 512. To access the menus, all you have to do is use the up-down controls to navigate to the menu option you want. Press the OK button to select the menu option you want, then use the up-down controls again to set that parameter. Then once you've selected the value in the parameter you want, press OK to confirm. If you are using a DMX controller, you'll want to go to the fixture menu option and then go to run mode, then set this to DMX. Since I'm just controlling these manually, I'll set this to host. I'll press the menu button to go back, and then I'll go down to manual control and press OK, and then the auto run sequence will stop and allow me to take manual control over the light. So pan is going to be your left-right position control, and this is a 520-degree control, so you can go around in a circle 360 degrees and then some more. The pan fine control allows you to make fine adjustments to the pan position, shifting the position of the light by a very small amount. Tilt is your up-down control, and it has 270-degree tilt control and a fine adjustment for the tilt as well. The light can face completely backwards, forwards, straight up, and anywhere in between. And from the front, it can even face down, it can tilt down at the floor a bit. But if you really need floor lighting, you can actually mount the light upside down using the mounting hardware on the bottom. And the tilt and pan controls can also be flipped if you're going to be mounting it upside down to the ceiling or to a rafter or something like that. The PT speed is the pan and tilt speed. So with higher numbers here, the pan and tilt will move slower, but it also gives the pan and tilt a more narrow angle of movement. So I typically just keep this at 0 so I get full range of motion. There's a dimmer, and here higher numbers mean a brighter light, lower numbers mean a dimmer light. There's a strobe effect, although I will warn you in advance, if you are sensitive to flashing lights, please look away or skip ahead. And then we get to our color controls. You have red, green, blue, and white. And you can combine any amount of these colors you like. So here I use a combination of a little bit of red and a lot of blue to get this purple color. I can pull out the red and just get blue. I can add in some green to get an aquamarine or teal color. I can pull out the blue to just get green, or add in some red to get a yellow color. Let's pull out the green completely, and this just leaves us with red. And you can also blend your colors with white to control the shade of the color you've blended. So if I add some white to this red, it shifts over to a pink hue. And if you just need white lights and you want to control the color temperature, you can use the CCT control. At 0, it's just going to go with whatever RGB color combination you've selected. But if you go up to 1, this will give you an 8500K bright white light. And as you move up, this will go up into daylight tones and then eventually into warm white territory. I'll go back to 0, which takes me back to my RGB color. The macro option gives you macro control over your RGB values. The first 9 values are just going to be your manual color setting, but if you set this from 10 and beyond, this will shift between all of your RGB color combinations. Maybe I want an orange or yellow color. I'll keep going to shift to green and aquamarine, and then keep going to shift into blues and purples. So this is a really cool way to control all of your RGB values at once. Zoom controls do exactly what they sound like, with the lowest value being the most zoomed out, and this will give you the widest coverage angle like I'm using here, and higher values will zoom in, so the light behaves more like a spotlight. There's a zoom rotation feature, and from 0 to 127, this just rotates the light manually, but if you set this to 128 to 190, this will actually make the light rotate automatically in one direction, and then from 193 to 255, it'll rotate in the opposite direction. And the pattern you get will depend on your zoom settings. So with the zoom at a higher value, you can get something like this. And with the zoom at a mid-range value, you can get something like this. And with the zoom at a lower value, you can get a softer effect like this. The effect option will give you some different RGB effects presets. Mainly, it makes the colors pulse in and pulse out. And then the next option allows you to control the speed of these RGB effects. Now, there are a lot of other cool things you can do with this light if you have a DMX controller, but overall, I'm really happy with the light. I'm going to be using it as my main backdrop light for all of my YouTube videos moving forward, and they're really affordable as well. They're a great entry point, an affordable entry point for people getting into stage lighting. However, I do have three main criticisms. Two of these are kind of minor things, and one of them is a really, really major thing. So let's start with the minor criticisms. The first is that I wish the zoom out was a bit wider. I wish it could zoom out a bit more, although using zoom along with the zoom rotation does help to get you a little bit more coverage. And I realize this isn't going to be an issue if you're actually using it as a stage light or using it at a club or something, but in a smaller space like this, I kind of have to put the light a little further away from the wall than I would like. It would be really awesome if I could get a big wide throw across the whole wall, but then have the light, down here on the floor. Right now, the light is over here, like about 3 feet away from me out of view of the camera. And it works just fine. So it's like a totally minor thing, but I just wish I had a little bit wider zoom to it. My second minor criticism is I wish there were more like moving presets and stuff like that that don't require a DMX controller. Other than the auto run sequence on this thing, there's really not a preset that moves around and changes patterns and changes colors. You kind of have to just do that manually. And, there's a few moving effects you can do without a DMX controller, but if you really want like full control over this thing and you want to have all these cool, light show effects going on, you're gonna need a DMX controller. So that's my other complaint. I wish it had even just a few, like 5 or 6, movement presets, motion presets built into it that I could just manually select. Okay, I'm just going to wrap up with my final major complaint. Betopper actually sent me 2 lights to review, but I've only been able to really use one of them since one of the lights is apparently broken. At first, I was able to use it, but gradually over the course of about a month or so, it started making this clicking and grinding sound whenever I would boot it up. What I would do is I would just turn the light off, turn it back on, and the motor would reset, and I would be all good. It would work normally. But this problem got progressively worse until I just couldn't use the light anymore. Now when I boot it up, the LCD flashes and the motor seems like it's locked in place. At least the tilt is locked in place. And even if I do a motor reset manually, it doesn't seem to fix the problem. And I've even done a factory reset, which hasn't helped either. When in manual mode, I do still seem to have some control over the pan, but the tilt is what seems to be messed up on it. So I'm kind of torn here. I really want to give these lights a great raving positive review and recommend them to everyone. Again, they're a great affordable entry point into stage lighting. They've got really cool RGBW controls. They're fairly easy to figure out and use, especially again, someone like me who knows very little about lighting. I don't know whether this is an issue with the manufacturing process. I don't know if I got a defective unit that was a manufacturing flaw, or if this is due to it being damaged in shipping. So I'm gonna give Betopper the benefit of the doubt and say that it probably happened in shipping. So if anyone has had the same issue or has any suggestions to fix this, or if Betopper knows how to fix this issue, please let me know and I'll do a follow-up video demonstrating this workaround. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. As always, thank you so much for the support and thanks for watching.